that later. So first of all, just logistically, have you filed with the FEC? I looked this morning.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
great. I
They
didn't
did
see
it first thing in the morning. So I'm an
it.
official candidate. I've
Okay.
launched.
Because I didn't, it wasn't up on their website, but there's sometimes a lag there. So can you just say, how long have you been thinking about running for Congress? Can you talk a little bit about what went into your decision to run for this office?
Yeah. Well, actually, when I rotated out as U.S. attorney, some people had asked me, and it just wasn't the right time, personally and professionally. And then after this last election, some of the same people contacted me, and I talked to my family, and they gave me the thumbs up and said go for it, and they would support me. It's a lot of the issues that, to me, are the most important issues to the people in Northeast Iowa and throughout the state. I mean, Ashley Henson, to me, has turned her back. She's not following through on the issues that she campaigned on, the economic issues. To me, it's not a question of left, right, Republican, Democrat. It's like right and wrong. I mean, like what's going to lift up the most people and give the best services. So those are things that that I've been thinking about for a while, and just really unhappy with her representation, and think my history and experience can do a better job of representing Northeast Iowa and make Washington work, and stand up for what's right.
Is there anything particular about her record or promises that she didn't keep that you would highlight in that context?
It starts with the economic issues. I mean, she ran on, criticizing the previous administration for every which way for any of their economic, that they weren't doing enough to fight inflation. They weren't bringing down the cost of gas or eggs or any of the things that are essential to everyday life. And she's turned her back on all those promises and aligned herself with Elon Musk. To my mind, his approach is reckless and ruthless, and it really hurts the middle class more than it helps. Nothing wrong with trying to go after waste, fraud, and abuse, but the methodology that he's using is just chaos. It doesn't make sense. He makes a decision, and then they bring it back, and it's cutting essential things that I think people, everyday people, think are essential. I mean, SNAP. I mean, school programs are at risk. LIPA for heating assistance, and Medicaid and Medicare are all apparently on the table. And just even basic, Social Security. People need to be able to count on they're going to get their Social Security checks, and the decision to close offices and make it harder for people to get the service they need. To me, is just nuts. And so she's, nodding her head and saying that's just what we need, which I don't agree with. It's not a question of Republican, Democrat, like I said. It's just like being efficient, doing the best you can for your constituents, and she's not doing it. And my career, I had the privilege of serving in the Air Force and the Air National Guard, and then served in the Vilsack administration as Commissioner of Public Safety. We stood up a couple programs that I'm very proud of, Amber Alert, that activate the community to help rescue children and arrest abductors, as well as the internet crimes against children, which keeps kids at risk from predators and keeps them safe. On through my time at the U.S. Attorney's Office, where I was proud to be in charge of an office with some really good prosecutors, and the office went after corruption and immigration crimes and healthcare fraud and gun violence and drug trafficking. All those things are what we people expect from a good government. Public safety and working together, federal, state, and local. We work best when we work together, and she just doesn't seem to believe in that.
I need to ask, I know this may not be the issues that you're highlighting in your campaign, but because of your experience as a U.S. attorney, I just need to ask you to comment more broadly on the Trump administration's Justice Department and things that are happening there.
Well, I had the privilege 3 times as U.S. Attorney. President Obama invited us to the White House, and each time he said, "Remember, I appointed you, but you work for the people." And that's really the essence of the Department of Justice. And I don't think the current Attorney General is really doing that. Um, the work is, to my mind, it's we work best when we work together in law enforcement, federal, state, and local, and they all have their roles. And doesn't it's just not happening under this leadership. It seems more about retribution than going after the bad guys. And so that's we fought immigration crime. We did it the right way. Those are important laws, and I believe in enforcing those laws. So
You had mentioned on your website you're referring to Elon Musk as an unaccountable, unelected billionaire, and that you would be working for relief for hardworking families. Can you describe, are there any specific policies that you see that Congress could pass that could quickly provide relief to hardworking families, or what kind of relief did you have in mind there?
Oops, sorry. Um, well, I kind of alluded to it that there's nothing wrong with going after fraud, waste, and abuse. So you want to look for those opportunities. There's certainly room for more technology to make things simpler and work more efficiently. To my mind, some of those have been fought, whether it's to make your tax filing easier or getting your Social Security or filing for training as you're a firefighter. So there's some just technology that could be brought to the table that could work better for everyday Iowans. It's an investment up front, and it has long-term consequences. So I think we need to look for some of those opportunities, as well as and what I hear from in Northeast Iowa, rural hospital care is not what it should be. So I think there's some opportunities to really fight for that in the federal government and make it easier for to bring those services to communities, in the medium to small size, whether it's Owine or Waukon or Decorah, all through Northeast Iowa.
So some of those Northeast Iowa counties have had among the biggest swings in the whole country, from voting for Barack Obama to the vote share for Donald Trump. And I was just wondering, what are your thoughts? This is a question a lot of people ask me. Why has that happened? What are your thoughts about that? And how would you go about trying to bring some of those areas back to more favorable voting for Democrats?
Yeah, I think it's even, what I was saying, that with Ashley Henson, she's turned her back on those issues, which is bringing costs down, bringing good paying jobs to Iowa. You go to Main Street in Owine, they don't have the resources they used to do, from whether it's a shoe store, a bike store, or just some of the things that make a community a community. And so those, an economy where people can really, it doesn't take a college education always, it can be to get the right skills. So the meat and potato, the kitchen table issues are really neat front and center, which is what she seemed to be campaigning on, but she's just turned her back to it. So I think those issues, we need to listen to Main Street and the communities, are hardworking communities, families, and bring those issues home and make Washington work.
One of the big divides right now among Democrats is what is the right approach to resisting the Trump administration policies or abuses of power. Do you feel that the small group of Senate Democrats did the right thing last month when they voted to keep the government funded? Or do you agree with what most of the House Democrats did in voting against that spending resolution, which could have led to a federal government shutdown?
I didn't really even drill down on that issue to the level to be able to comment at this time. I mean, I'm really focused in on, where things are today. And we need to move forward and elect good people at this next Congress to bring back some balance to the federal government. We have one party system right now. They're not listening to the other side. And again, I think it's not a question of party. It's a question of what's right and wrong, and, bringing the services and doing what the people's work is. So it's, being in the minority is a tough situation, but I think it's, we need, like we just talked about, talking about those kitchen table issues, meat potato issues, and bringing that back to where it should be.
I mean, if you're elected to Congress, that whether you're in the majority or the minority, Trump is still going to be president at that time. So, I mean, Democrats are still going to have a conundrum, I guess. So my question is sort of, how far should the resistance to Donald Trump's policies go? Should that include, in some situations, possibly even shutting down the government, or not?
I really don't know enough at this point to even to make a solid opinion on that.
Okay.
I'm going to focus in on what I've always fought for what's right, and trying to keep families safe. That's really my emphasis at this point.
Mhm.
And I continue to I'm going to stand on that and then take it from there.
Do you have any comments? Ashley Hinson's campaign released a statement yesterday saying that you are running because you have a vendetta against Donald Trump, and linking to a statement that you signed and many other people signed. Do you have any response to that?
I just stand on my record. I mean, I was proud to take the oath to serve in the United States Air Force, and take the oath to serve in the Iowa National Guard, serve as Commissioner of Public Safety, and take an oath as U.S. Attorney. And each of those oaths, you're going to defend the Constitution and do the right thing. The rule of law is important, and I think anybody that looks at my record, I'll stand on it and can make their judgment whether that statement was accurate or not. I'm proud of the service I did and the people I served it with.
I realized I need to circle back to something you mentioned earlier that some people had talked to you about possibly running for Congress. Are those local people in the district, or do you mean like
Absolutely, yeah, no, yeah, people
people
that.
like the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee approached you about it?
No, I'm talking about people that I know in Iowa, whether it's in Floyd County or Alameda or here in Lynn County, Fayette County. I lived in a number of the communities when I was a kid growing up. I lived in Mason City, Dubuque, and then went to high school in Marion, and then come back as U.S. attorney. So I mean, I feel pretty comfortable in this district. I have good family connections and friends, and so those are the people I've listened to, and people that caught my ear and said, you've got a good story to tell. We could use your as a candidate.
And the DCCC has said that they do plan to target the race. I mean, did that factor into your decision about whether to run?
No, actually, I had already gone well down the road to this point when it was good news that they decided to rate this district as competitive. So that gives me more credibility as I go out and tell my story. So that's good news, and I think it's accurate. Um,
Is there anything that I didn't ask that would be important for my readers to know about you? I want to be
Well,
mindful.
I just want to really emphasize that my career has really been focused in on making Iowa safer for families and doing the right thing throughout those different services. I'm proud of that, and also in the not-for-profit world, I was really proud to serve on the library board in Des Moines and other not-for-profits at DMARC, which is one of the big food bank. So I mean, those are all important things in the community that we work together with, and that's always been my spirit, and that's what I want to do. Again, it's not about left, right, Democrat, Republicans. It's about doing the right thing. And I think my record supports that's been the direction of my career.
And speaking of DMARC, that just jogged my memory. I don't know how closely you've been following this budget resolution that could require some pretty significant cuts to food assistance, to Medicaid. Do you have is that an issue that you think you'll be talking about during the campaign?
I think so. I mean, it's too soon to tell where that's all going to land. But I mean, the school communities throughout this congressional district are, afraid that they're going to have to cut back on the school lunch program for families. I think feeding bellies is an important thing to do. We want kids to be healthy, and that's our future. So anything we can do to bring that along and support it, I think, is really important for the best interests of the state and the communities throughout it.
And have you been already traveling around the district, or have you been mostly checking in with people by phone or virtually?
A little of both, but this is kind of the beginning, and so I'm really going to start getting out and doing more of that. I've visited a few communities, but look forward to doing much more of that.